Allow me to speak to the customer.
No, you're not going to speak with the customer anymore. You have already spoken to the customer enough. You never hit the submit button, or he kept saying hit the I'm done button, because if she'd done that, that money would have been gone.
That's body cam video of an officer confronting scammers to save an elderly woman who was giving away nearly $30,000. And wait till you see what happened next. Some pet owners say Nationwide is not on their side after canceling their insurance just when their pets needed life-saving care. What you can do if it happens to you. The summer travel deals that you're not taking advantage of. The hacks that will pack big savings into your next trip. And is being a wedding guest tying your budget into knots? We're going to talk with an expert on how to be a bridesmaid, a groomsman, or attend a wedding without having to divorce all of your money. And welcome to Dollars and Cents. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm your host, Heather Sullivan. Now, this is the show. You're in the right place. We're going to help you save money. We're going to help you cut costs and make some really smart money moves. We've been gathering the best reporting from Fox stations across the country to help you do it. So let's get started. So I had to share this first story with you. It is amazing to watch. A Good Samaritan's 911 call and a quick action by a Texas police sergeant stopped a scammer in his tracks from swindling a woman out of nearly $30,000. It's police body cam footage that captured it all. And the woman said she thought her bank had told her to put the money into a Bitcoin ATM. And Fox's Peyton Yeager shows us what happened next.
She is not clicking on anything. You really want to fight this fight with me?
That's not your problem.
Yes, it is my problem, because what you're doing is committing a crime. That makes it my problem.
Sergeant James Stewart with White Settlement Police stepped in to stop an elderly woman in her 80s from sending tens of thousands of dollars to a man claiming he was with Chase Bank.
I was irritated, not just as a police officer, but as a human being.
However, the first person to take notice was Mindy Jordan.
At that point, she had already put in $23,900, and all I could think was, like, they're trying to just they're robbing her blind.
Jordan stopped by the Chevron off I-30 and Cherry Lane Thursday for gas and cash. She says the woman still had wads of $100 bills in her purse, so she called 911.
I noticed an elderly lady feeding thousands of dollars into the cryptocurrency machine. And the people on the phone sound like foreigners, and they have her like FaceTiming to make sure that she's putting the money in the machine.
Can you go get her to stop?
I tried, and she said that she's trying to correct the mistake that somebody else made. So God. She knows that, yeah, and I just don't, it's so bad.
Jordan waits for Sergeant Stewart to arrive on scene.
Hey, ma'am,
yes.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Please, I have the bank on the phone.
Okay, let me talk to who you're talking to on the bank.
I'm in danger.
Okay, no, you're not, ma'am.
This is Chase Bank.
Let me talk to them.
Sergeant Stewart tells the woman to stop inserting money and takes the phone. The male voice on the other end continues to say he's a Chase Bank security team member.
Allow me to speak to the customer.
No, you're not going to speak with the customer anymore. You have already spoken to the customer enough. You never hit the submit button, or he kept saying hit the I'm done button. Because if she'd done that, that money would have been gone.
Jordan called the number on the Bitcoin machine to file a fraud report. The woman will get her $23,000 back.
It just could have been so different, and I'm so thankful to God that it's not, that it ended it happily for her, and she's able to get her stuff back.
We're glad too. Okay, I've got a quick save for you. Amazon Pharmacy is expanding its prescription drug program. It's called RX Pass. It's for Prime members who are on Medicare. So it offers 60 generic medications shipped right to the customer's home for a monthly fee of $5 plus access to a pharmacist. Amazon says that it could save a Medicare beneficiary about $70 a year. Now, an Amazon Prime membership is $15 a month, so be sure to compare your savings to the cost. Now, many pet owners say Nationwide is not on their side after it canceled 100,000 pet insurance policies. And some of these owners say this happened just when their pets desperately needed medical care. And some say it is very difficult to find another policy that'll cover pre-existing conditions. Take a look.
Here, you get to break a little one off.
Meet Bo and Casey.
They're part of my family, right? I don't have children. The dogs are part of my family, so I would treat them just like I would have a kid.
Christina Vlantis says they're still healthy, but after being a Nationwide pet insurance customer for 20 years, she says her premiums doubled in the last 2 years.
In 2022, his policy was $114, and now it's up to $246, and just in 2 years, with no pre-existing conditions and no medical concerns.
She says she pays it to ensure she can care for Bo and Casey should they ever need life-saving care.
I've seen that time and time again where there's people in that ER that they can't afford the bill, and so they have to put down the dog.
Vlantis fears her insurance could be dropped after Nationwide announced it's canceling 100,000 pet policies state by state, citing inflation in the cost of veterinary care and other factors. Eric Capotis received this cancellation letter for Riley, one of his 2 Doberman pinschers.
Has pretty much become allergic to every grass that grows up here in New England.
After he says his premiums jumped to $300 a month.
Then it quickly went to anger. You know, how could, you know, you have you have a lot of guts to send me a letter in the mail that says we're on your side, but we're essentially, you know, for lack of better words, cutting your legs out from under you.
Nationwide's statement says the cancellations are not associated with the pet's age, breed, or prior claims history. But many pet owners who've joined a Facebook group dropped by Nationwide Pet Insurance Whole Wellness say their older pets with serious health conditions have been dropped.
There are people with senior pets that are undergoing chemotherapy, dogs that have seizures, dogs that have neurological disorders that they call the wobblers. I mean, things that require a lot of medical attention and a lot of medication.
And many pet owners say it can be very difficult to find a pet insurance company that will cover a pre-existing condition.
To be dropped after maybe 8-9 years off of a policy that you've been paying into just specifically to cover these issues late in life. These people don't really know what they're going to do.
Yeah, so we asked Nationwide about these concerns. It didn't answer our questions. It only referred us back to its original statement, which reads in part, "We certainly empathize with the disappointment many of our pet families feel and will fully stand by the protections for which they have paid through the end of their current term." Now, the Texas Department of Insurance does regulate pet insurance, and they tell us, quote, if someone has a complaint and cannot resolve it with the company, they can file a complaint with TDI. But it says so far it hasn't received any complaints about Nationwide's announcement. Now, some pet owners say they are exploring the possibility of taking legal action, though Nationwide says that these cuts are within the law. Some customers are trying to find other coverage, while others say they're just going to have to save up cash to cover the costs. Well, Great Wolf Lodge is hosting a job fair to fill 600 jobs at its new resort that's opening in Webster. So take a look here. They're hiring for lifeguards, engineering, entertainment, attractions, front desk, and housekeeping. The job fair is at the Bayway Village Shopping Mall in Webster, June 29th to July 13th. Plus, they're offering 50% off a first night stay when they open up in August. And a paid apprenticeship program in skilled trades and construction is recruiting candidates right now. Now, this program leads to high-paying jobs that don't require a college education. The Houston Gulf Coast Building and Construction Trades Council is recruiting for its free course that prepares candidates for 13 different paid apprenticeships in the skilled trades. The Apprenticeship Readiness Program multi-craft core curriculum prepares students to learn trades like construction, electrical, plumbing, and pipe fitting. These are 5-year apprenticeships where wages start between $15 and $25 an hour, increasing up to $45 an hour, plus health insurance and a pension plan. And some of the graduates that we talked with talk about how this class helped to prepare them.
Of course, the refreshers on the math, learning about the different trades, learning about the different labor unions and the history of the unions. Just a lot of great experience, even with just life and how to deal with coworkers.
I've had some history in the construction field, although walking into the class and seeing that there were other women there was inspiring.
They're taking applications now for the September program, and I've put a link to it on Sullivan Smart Sense on Fox26Houston.com. Now, you've probably heard about this. There was a major cyber attack on the software provider for 15,000 car dealerships. It's been tying up the process of buying cars and getting repairs. Eric Perry with Fox 5 in Atlanta breaks down how this could impact you.
This is going to be a nightmare whenever it hits.
It's not an easy drive Friday for William Strickland, who owns Bellamy Strickland Chevrolet. He, along with nearly 15,000 dealers nationwide, must deal with the fallout after CDK Global faced a cyber attack earlier in the week. A company spokesperson says they shut down the system out of an abundance of caution.
The main thing that we do when you pull in to get an oil change, we write your repair order up, and that repair order has got a lot of data on it, and your name, your information, your car's information, how many quarts of oil it takes, and all the various information, and we keep up with that. So yesterday we had to go to paper.
Strickland says they house internal data for dealerships, forcing some to close for the day, others scrambling back to the old way.
We're going back to the way we operated in the 80s, and we're putting everything out by hand. But that caused its own set of problems. I mean, we had people that couldn't figure tax. We couldn't figure the hours that were on the repair order.
They're clearly in a very hard situation.
Robnif Chalapa is a professor of information systems and operations management at Emory.
They have dealt with dealers who are using CDK, which I presume is a number of car dealerships. They should be aware that if this is not resolved, their personal information may be for sale out there in the dark web.
And if you're at home, here's what you should know.
Think about it from a customer point of view. We go to a dealership, we give them our social security number because we need, loans and, good interest rates and so on. And sometimes we don't go to a bank. We directly get these from the dealership itself, which basically means that we provide essentially all the information we would give to a bank.
Okay, and hurricane season is here, but high inflation over the last few years has led some homeowners to take the risk of canceling their flood insurance. But many don't know that they may be able to buy private flood insurance for less. There are pros and cons to both FEMA and private flood insurance, so I broke down your options for you.
Since FEMA began Risk 2.0 in 2021, raising many homeowners' flood insurance rates, a Houston Chronicle analysis shows 1 in 12 buildings and homes in the Houston area have dropped it, totaling 45,000. But now more insurance companies offer private flood insurance and more mortgage lenders accept it. So let's look at how they wash out. FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program offers maximum coverage of $250,000 to rebuild, no matter how much your home is worth, and a maximum of $100,000 for damaged contents. Even if you live in a high-risk zone, you can still buy FEMA coverage. NFIP usually costs more than private flood insurance, but it is backed by the government, so you don't have to worry that it could go out of business and leave you stranded.
With the FEMA product through the National Flood Insurance Program, it is a 30-day waiting period. So if you go and buy a policy today, you're not going to have it for another 30 days.
Now let's look at private flood insurance through insurance companies, including Allstate, Geico, Neptune, Travelers, and Wright. Premiums for private insurance can be lower than FEMA, yet it can offer enhanced coverage, like living expenses if you can't live at home, and much higher coverage limits.
Some of the benefits them is they have actually higher coverage rates than the FEMA program. It's even double, even some of them are even triple what you can get for coverage through FEMA.
Private flood insurance also often has shorter waiting times to take effect. Some start as soon as you pay the premium. The downside is that private insurance can deny your application if your home is high risk, it can have deductibles, and private companies can go out of business, which could leave you uninsured.
Now, private insurance can be a few $100s less a year, and you can also check out a company's financial strength on sites like AM Best and S&P Global. But here's an important note. If you cancel FEMA coverage and then you want to buy FEMA again later, you have to reapply, and you may not get the discounts that you received in the past. And renters, you too can buy flood insurance, especially if you live on the ground floor. It starts as low as about $100 a year. Not a bad idea. Now, the happiest place on earth is leaving many families in debt. A Lending Tree survey says 24% of parents have gone into debt after visiting a Disney theme park, and that jumps to 45% if they have kids under 18. Parents with young children took on an average of $1,983 on a Disney trip. A family of 4 spends an average of $700 just on tickets. So when it comes to saving on your summer vacation, wherever you go, travelers are really playing a game of credit card strategy and winning. And travel experts show us the hand. Fox's.
When it comes to saving on vacations, travelers are playing a game of credit card strategy.
Well, I use a Southwest credit card and a Marriott credit card. I have for years, and in their rewards clubs and get points, probably $5,000–$10,000 a year just on flights.
We use our American Express Delta Reserve card so that we can acquire points to get free flights, free luggage.
Your Chase Rewards credit card, if you really build up enough and spend enough, then there's at times I can put $500–$600 into my account.
But gift cards can also be a way to go.
It is very reasonable to save 10% on your vacations each year by buying discounted gift cards.
Summer Hull with the travel site The Points Guy says it's a good idea to check those membership warehouses.
At both Sam's and Costco this year, we have seen Southwest Airlines offer a $500 Southwest Airlines gift card for $449. So obviously right there, you're picking up like $50 in savings just by being strategic on how you purchase the gift card.
So you can double up your points on that, because if you buy them with the credit cards that have points, you get points for buying the card, and then you can use that and the discount to kind of like stack it up, if you know what I mean. Every once in a while, they'll have the Disney World ones, $100 for $75. So you buy 3 or 4 of those because you're going to empty your wallet there. Save some money that way, and then you get points on your credit card too.
But you don't have to be a warehouse member to find these kinds of deals.
You can also create this at Target. If you have like a Target card, you can get 5% off the gift cards there too. And they have some of those same brands. They actually have a few more.
And Summer says you can also create your own bonus gift card.
If you have a credit card in your wallet that gives bonus points or bonus cash back at somewhere like, say, a grocery store, an office supply store, Chase and Amex have those on some of their cards. Those places also sell gift cards. So if you can get like 5x points on office supply stores, and you can go ahead and buy your Disney gift cards there, you may actually end up saving more if you value your points.
Also, check for built-in offers with your credit cards.
So you got to log into your account and add these manually. And there'll be discounts on like hotels, airlines, etc. So I've saved $100 on our last Marriott stay by adding an Amex offer that gave me $100 back at Marriott if I spent $300.
It's a card game that could save you on your next trip.
All right, we are now in wedding season. On average, there are about 2 million weddings across the U.S. every year. And if you've ever attended one or been asked to participate in one, you know it can be expensive. So we asked financial expert Ann Lester, she's the author of Your Best Financial Life, to join us to find ways to help us save on all of these weddings this summer. Thanks so much for being with us, Ann.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay, let's start here. We know that people start getting invitations, sometimes to multiple weddings in a season, and these are friends and family, but it can be expensive. So what's your advice to try and cut that down?
Well, the best thing you can do to start off with is set a budget for yourself. And hopefully you've known a little bit ahead of time how many weddings you're looking at per summer. Sometimes I know people who have as many as 4 or 5 to attend. And if you're traveling, that adds up fast. So set a budget and then start working backwards. You know, what's the most important thing to you? Is it just showing up? Is it making sure you look really good? Is it making sure you can travel in style? Once you figure out what your priorities are, then you can start thinking about where you can cut back.
Well, let's talk about people that are invited to participate in wedding. The bridesmaids, the groomsmen, those costs can really add up because you may have travel, as you mentioned, and of course there's the dresses and all those other things that go with it. Is there any way of trying to control that cost?
You know, I think the best thing you can do is get really honest first with yourself and then with the friend who's asked you to be in their wedding. You know, one of the things I say is friends don't ask friends to go into debt for their wedding. I think that's we just need to get a little more comfortable having the uncomfortable conversation and just say, being really open with someone saying, look, I really want to be there. I want to support you. It's super awkward if they've been in your wedding and you're kind of like saying, yeah, now I don't have any money to be in yours. Like you don't want to end up there. But I think the more transparent you can be first with yourself and then with your friends early on about what you can and can't do, the happier you will all be in the long run.
Okay, that's some great advice because that can be a really sticky conversation. What about just making some choices about, how many, weddings you're going to end up doing? Are there some ways of still supporting the couple, but maybe not going all out?
Well, I think, again, if you're not in the wedding party, saving on clothing is a great way to start. Maybe not going to all the events that you've been invited to, whether they're showers, getting creative with gifts. You don't have to necessarily pick something off the registry. You can think of gifts of time. One thing that I think can make a lot of sense if the bridal couple has a pet is doing some pet sitting for their honeymoon. That's a huge cost for most people. So think about ways you can show up for them, be a part of their day, help support the event and them, but don't necessarily involve you writing a check. And when you get creative, sometimes you can think of some of the best and most meaningful things you could do for someone.
I love that idea about offering them some other, unexpected expense, ways that you can help them cut some of those expenses. What are your tips on, buying gifts? I often will hit the registry early just so that I have the best options of things available. I'm curious though what your advice is.
I think hitting the registry early is one of the most important things you can do. And, some of the most memorable wedding gifts I got, and I got married a really long time ago, did not cost very much money, but they're things I use every day still. And I touch that object and think of the person who gave me that gift to this day, 30 years later. So it doesn't have to be fancy, but the more you can pick something that is meaningful. Again, I think registries can be traps because so many people getting married now have already set up a house. So you're buying things that, maybe I want the fancy panini press or the fancy coffee maker, but seriously, maybe getting creative, giving yourself a fixed budget and thinking about something that they could use later on in life, later this year, when they're not opening 100 presents at the same time, might actually be something they remember as well, because, you don't want to get lost in the pile necessarily and just feel like you've spent money on something that's, not going to be meaningful in their lives.
Yeah, great tip. That's true. You have more time to do a gift in those occasions. And Lester, again, the author of Your Best Financial Life. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and I like to leave you with something funny. Some companies are getting rid of bosses to save money. Yeah, middle management layoffs are up 30%. Some people prefer not having a boss because, as experts say, people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. But just because that middle manager is gone doesn't mean there's no one to check in with. It can create additional work for the people left at the company, and being bossless can also negatively impact workers because there's nobody there to tell you, hey, great job. So be careful what you wish for. All right, let me know what you think on Instagram, Facebook, and X. It's all Heather Sullivan, Fox 26. I love hearing from you. You'll find more ways to save every day on Sullivan's Smart Sense on fox26houston.com. That's our show. We'll see you next time right here on Dollars and Cents.